Huh?
You're listening to Cryptid Clues, featuring your hosts, Taylor Field and Reuben Olson.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. That is right. We're back. This is our 9th episode. I am Taylor Field.
And I'm Reuben Olson.
Yes, we are diving into something super cool for this episode of Cryptid Clues. Before we get to that, some quick plugs. Check us out at CryptidClues.ca is our home base. You can find our blog stuff. You can read our bios, get to know us, reach out to find our social media links on there as well. And you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, stuff on YouTube as well, and Patreon. Check us out on our Patreon because we have all these episodes go up ad-free and they go up early as well on the Patreon. I also want to shout out our Patreon, or our patron, I should say. We have someone who joined one of our tiers, and it's great to see that kind of support.
That's Mr. Kapruki or
Kapruka.
Kapruka. Yes, Kapruka. I'm sorry I got that wrong, Kapruka. But we appreciate your support and all of your love.
Yeah, absolutely. Today we are diving into aliens, but not just the aliens, the connection. Very specific, because it's such a vast topic that you can go into. But this is the specific connection between aliens and owls, which I find very intriguing. So not aliens like all the reptilians, everything like that, but specifically the Greys and its relation.
As soon as you said aliens, it was like, oh, what's it going to be? Owls.
Owls,
Wait,
yeah.
What? Picturing the crazy-haired guy with his hands up. Aliens.
Oh, yeah. From the history dude.
What was that show? It was the Ancient Aliens or something?
Ancient Aliens. Yeah.
That's going to be us in this episode now. Who did it? Who? Aliens,
yeah. So I'll let you again. I'll take point on this because I've got so many notes on this, but I'll let you kind of just give me your introductory thought on gray aliens and owls. Like, how's that impacted your life?
In my life, not really much, but from my experience and researching and stuff like that, I mean, grays are one of the most common alien types. You see their faces everywhere. That's how merchandise is the gray alien face with the big bugged out eyes and the short tiny little chin and 2 dots for a nose. They're the most commonly cited alien for abduction scenarios. We have things we've discussed before like the Dover demon that look very close to a gray. You've got your little typical saucer shaped UFO with grays inside of it. And I mean, as far as it goes with beyond XCOM scenarios and stuff and extending into media, going into the owl topic, then you also have people that have said they've been they find out maybe later through hypnosis or something they've been abducted. And one of the most common things is leading up to that, they've been seeing owls. They have dreams of owls, or they wake up and it's like, oh, there was an owl staring at me and it was through my window or something. And that's how they remember things, almost as if it was maybe changed, or maybe they're remembering something wrong. But typically an owl is a way to explain away a gray alien sighting too, which is interesting to know. But we're going to dive into the details on the whys and why is that. So it doesn't sound like I'm just talking out of my butt. Taylor's going to help me out with that here.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're segueing right into what I have written down here. The most common experiences, again, surrounding missing time. And missing time and UFO stuff, that terrifies me. When you hear people talking about stories, how they're outside tending to the yard at nighttime, they look up, a star moving, and then they put their head back down, they go back, and their friend's like, oh, we lost you for 3 hours. Where were you? It's like, what? That is terrifying. And that's something that plagues me for I'm so fearful of when I go to sleep and I could miss time or something like that.
Some of my favorite abduction reports too with missing time are ones where the people are they're driving or something, right? And you have somewhere like some families in an area were abducted, and when they were put back and they experienced that missing time, like, whoa, it's later in the day, we're in a different spot or something. They were also shuffled around in their vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
The driver changed. One person was like, I thought I was driving, now they're the passenger. Just events like that, or even the wrong clothes sometimes for missing time. Those are more rare though. More often than not, in an abduction report, it's just, oh, did you notice any missing time? It's like, yeah, it was like suddenly like it was 3 hours later or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or the time of day was different. They never thought about it before because it's so murky. It's one of those memories you look back on and you're like, oh, all right, that happened. I guess I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's convoluted. And that's where they kind of dive into having, which we'll touch upon afterwards, but like hypnosis and stuff that you kind of like reopen those memories. But again, when you have the scenario of these owls, now I'm not going to advocate and stand for like, you know what, the aliens are hitting a button and the owls are doing their bidding or anything like that. Like, do they speak to the birds? I don't think so.
It's a gray and two owls.
Yeah. I know there are theories that suggest
fly my birdies.
That, yes, some Wizard of Oz scenario. There are theories that suggest that these are physically implanted visions where the owls are disguised as stand-ins. Like what now?
Of Hogwarts.
Of Hogwarts?
The owls are coming. Deliver you a letter.
To Privet Drive, dropping off the acceptance letters to the school.
Yeah.
I gotcha. But yeah, again, that goes hand in hand with what you were saying. These visions are implanted physically into the mind to distract or keep you occupied. And it's funny because I had seen a movie very recently that had that. This person was possessed. And while they were possessed, it showed them thinking that they were just at home sitting there and nothing was changing. They're just waiting for something to happen and they're in control. But really, it shows the real world. And it shows the horrible things going on while their body's possessed. And it's terrifying. I think it's same implication here. What are your thoughts on that? Is it being like a screen?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of advanced technology, which obviously if aliens are real, they'd have to have. So if they can implement memories and stuff, that's terrifying to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's many theories too surrounding this whole topic. Like you have way more notes than I do. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, but last time I took the lead. I'm letting Taylor kind of take point here because I did not find a ton of information this time around, just due to lack of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I am very familiar with the topic, just from my general interest growing up and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, on the note of screen memories, I believe is the term that they have dubbed this. So when aliens interact with humans, they influence people to see something other than, a scary alien in order to keep them calm throughout the experience. What that experience is, I couldn't tell you, but I'm sure it's not always very savory. It's probably unsavory at best.
Where are you putting that, Mr. Alien?
Well, I mean, I've never spoken to someone who's had an encounter where they've been abducted, but a lot of these scenarios, people say they feel like they have things that are put in their arms and stuff like that. And that's absolutely terrifying.
Well, and that's one of those things where if you get into evidence, it's the people that are found with like weird shaped metal objects just embedded into their skin. There's no scar tissue. It's been like implanted into them as if it was always there. And then the surgeons remove it and they're like, well, what is this?
Yeah.
It's like a little metal capsule or a metal triangle or some weird thing. And it's just that can't be explained away. How did that happen? Or you have people that have like the scoops. One of the most common abduction things is the people wake up and they find they have a scoop mark eventually. And it's a very specific, like a little triangular shape, 3 dots, or there's a single scoop in a certain location that shows up in a lot of people with abduction reports.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. After these encounters, all of these sightings and such and events, people seem to often remember seeing 3 to 4 foot tall owls, specifically barn owls. If you don't know what a barn owl looks like, you can Google it. You can check out like images of like even the chicks of them. They're straight like a white with big black beady eyes, very much like a little gray alien. Mm-hmm. And if I was looking for something to pass off in disguise that could remotely work, it would totally work. using an owl of this sort. So,
Unless you hit one of us, we'll wake up and go, wow, I was abducted by Mothmen.
well, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, I know you mentioned we have like an owl theme where I live, and my wife is definitely, she's very much into the owl.
You have a lot of
vibe.
owl decor. I went and used your bathroom, and
They're in there.
I'm looking at owls, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is part of the topic today. Did you set this up
They'll
on
beam
purpose?
you up out of there.
I've never noticed it before, but I know they've been there. I just never paid attention to it.
So, have you ever heard of a book called Communion?
No.
So the author, Whitley Strieber, hope I'm pronouncing that right, basically he's had a lot of experiences. And in this book, he explains that long before he started having abduction experiences, there was a white owl that used to stand in his backyard and watch his bedroom window when he was a child.
Ooh.
At this time, his parents began nailing the screen shut.
Why?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. But
the parents aren't going to tell you anything. They don't.
No, not when you're a little kid and you don't even know any better. I mean,
oh my goodness.
At least I could imagine. He goes to the window. He sees that owl there consistently multiple nights. And then the parents are probably the ones realizing that there's times where maybe he's not even in his room, and they notice that their son's saying, "Yeah, there's just an owl in the backyard" or something like. I could just imagine
the kids
scenarios.
crawling out the window and running away, and they nail it shut.
That's just it. It could be that. I mean, you could play the scenarios out in your head, and you probably might not even ever come close to what really was going on. But it's terrifying to think that. I know there are a few different scenarios where I have seen people inquiring into this. I'm not saying it's gonna like happen to us because I prefer not. But
yeah, that's the one thing I don't want is an alien abduction to happen to me.
Of course,
I'd love to witness a UFO or something, but the knowledge of something happening and I don't know what happened to me for sure. That's where I'd rather see like a Bigfoot or a Dogman or something cross the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll be a much better experience than seeing a UFO whiz by close and then maybe even seeing an alien and thinking what actually happened though.
Mm-hmm. Just more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that have said that when they looked into it, then they start seeing owls. Again, I don't know, and I say this word preconceived notion a lot, I'm realizing on this show. Is it the fact that they're going in there aware of these owls and they just start noticing it more? Like how today you were in my house and you just, because of the topic, you notice these owls and they were always there, but you just notice them more in the decor. And I'm wondering if that's the case. People have reported that owls will follow them home and just stare at them and watch them. And I think that's very odd, but
mechanical spy owls.
Well, that's a whole nother conspiracy and you get into the whole birds or government spies and such. But yeah, I think that, you know, as far as this goes, there is another scenario which I will detail because I was digging in, but I'm going to jump to a quick ad break. So we will be right back. And we're back. So this scenario, it was basically a family and they were going down, driving, I think around like 50 kilometers an hour. And they came across a owl that was standing on the road, but the only one who saw the owl was the husband.
Oh.
Everyone else in the family saw a short gray alien standing there. And again, it could be one of those scenarios where they're just trying to trick everyone, but technology, I guess, isn't perfect. And it only worked on one, not all of them. The rest all saw the alien.
Or maybe it means something when a specific person remembers the owl even.
That's true. It could be
something was done to that person.
Mm-hmm. Like even like abducted before without knowing kind of scenario like that, or just the attention was focused on them.
Hey, that's interesting. I was watching an episode of The Flash, and one of the characters uses technology from another Earth to quickly flash everyone in the room so that they see his real face, because he was using a beam of light to refract and change his appearance and fool other people eventually into believing he was somebody else. But he wanted his friends to know who he was. So he was like, boom, now you can see me as I am, but everyone else will see me with a different face because you don't have this retinal thing in your brain or whatever, retinal scan. Anyway, so imagine if the aliens have something like that and the Greys are all like, hoot hoot, we've abducted you. You see us as an owl, wiggly woo. And then everyone else just sees the alien because they weren't affected by that at one point.
Right. I see what you're saying. I mean, the thought comes from somewhere. And that's a pretty crazy thought to even comprehend or to
And you
dream up.
look over in the yard and you see, I'm like, Taylor, do you see that owl up in the tree? And you just totally see like a little alien perched on a branch, like desperately hanging on, trying to look in.
Mm-hmm. Dover demon looking.
That's what I was thinking, actually.
Yeah.
As soon as you said middle of the road thing, I was thinking of the Dover demon reports.
It's interesting. And that is something that I've always think helps justify people with other experiences. I know we talked about Skinwalker Ranch, where people have these experiences and there's other people around them to justify and say, I saw it too. Now, when you get to this scenario with grays and owls, there's a lot of cases where it's one person that sees it and other people are like, no, it's just an owl. Like they don't share the same experiences, like I said, with this family in the car. And that gets scary because then you feel alone, you feel isolated and more vulnerable. Now, digging more into the gray aliens in this transition, you touched upon this before. Like it's just like the standard alien, that's what people think of. Over 70% of all reported alien encounters in the US alone are described as the grays. 70%. Like, you can dive into all the other different types of aliens that have been rumored. Eventually we'll get to the like tall whites, reptilians, Anunnaki, all that kind of stuff, because there's so much to explore. But with the grays for now, again, they're described as being human-like, small bodies, smooth gray, colored skin, and large hairless heads, large black eyes. They're usually depicted with like a lack of external human body parts. So they have no nose, ears, no sex organs, and a very visible skeletal structure. So you can imagine you can imagine if you've seen the movie Paul, that is like a clear-cut, perfect example on screen of a gray alien.
Personality-wise, not so much.
No, personality, take it with a grain of salt. Absolutely not. But yeah, clear cut, I would say that's what they look like. Now,
I wish that's how they acted.
well, yeah, with the human spin to them.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good movie, and I highly recommend it. I own it, and it always gets me when he's like moving the bagels up. Anyone want one of these?
Oh, I find that very appalling.
Oh, there you go. Oh, just a good laugh. Again, anyone that has listened and has actually had experience with this, like we're not trying to make fun or poke fun or anything like that at you or discriminate. Nothing at all on those regards. Again, we're just trying to have a little laugh.
Entering a little gray zone with our humor.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to slip that in there. It's,
yeah.
No disrespect. Wow.
No. But now when we come to the origins of gray aliens, I found that interesting because if you look at old carvings, old little statues, you can see some ancient, like little Sumerian statues of tiny little gray aliens. Like these things go back long periods of time before our society as we know it. And it's not really well documented. One of the interesting things that I had found was, and again, is this an origin? I'm not going to say it is, but it's very early on in 1891. There's a novel called A Tale of the Future. It was published by Kenneth Follingsby. I hope I said that right. So in which the narrator encountered a small gray-skinned alien with balloon-shaped heads. Now, again, when does that specifically take place? I can't tell you, but it is, again, when the novel was published in 1891. Grays continue to be seen, obviously, in more novels, sightings, media, TV, movies, and they're even linked in the early 1980s to the alleged saucer crash in Roswell, New Mexico, which happened back in 1947. So the publications contain statements from individuals who claim to have witnessed the U.S. military handling the bodies. And I think that's very interesting because that's one of the most famous things, Area 51, all that jazz. Again, there's been footage that's come out where people have said this is real autopsies being performed on gray aliens. And they're super tiny little figures. People saying, oh, it's just a fake. And other people saying, oh, this footage is just reconstructed footage from the original that was damaged from old age, fire damage, whatnot.
Why would they reconstruct it, though?
Well,
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen some videos supposedly from supposedly from like military recordings of interrogating grays and stuff. There's one where they have a little gray in a black room and you almost feel bad for it as they go in and shine like flashlights in its eyes and stuff and go all around it. At the time that video came out, you kind of felt like, well, it couldn't be a suit because of the movements. Couldn't quite be CGI, but the video quality is not all there. But I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could have been like an animatronic.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I was younger, I went really down the rabbit hole, especially with grays, and looking into that kind of footage and such. I want to say like I was scared, not because of just what I was seeing, but I believed it. Not that the footage was especially real, but that these creatures are actually good representations of real grays that exist. And I think that's absolutely terrifying because I don't understand their motives, and I've found a lot of different reasons as to why they could even potentially be here. Now, again, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. But before we get onto that, which will be later, back to the Roswell incident and the crash. So you have grays that have been reported there crash landing. That's super, super famous and whatnot. How do you feel since then about, I guess, reports leading into like nowadays with gray aliens? Because like when you think of a gray, I feel like usually you associate it with like a round saucer, but the main go-to is sightings is usually like triangle craft flying around and such like that. But I'm just curious, like in terms of since that crash and how things have gone in society and the media in regards to grays, what are your thoughts?
I think they become an icon and a way to drip feed the public into something that's really out there as far as media goes.
To scare or to prepare people?
I don't know. I want to say it's to prepare, but I don't think that's the case. I feel like it's for some other purpose. I've definitely, like, I've brought it up once before, and I gotta go find my sources on this because otherwise it's just me talking. But like reports of military using abduction scare tactics in like Iraq and stuff, where they've staged abductions or used military technology to fake alien abduction scenarios and laser carving out like crop circles and mutilations and whatnot as a tactic to scare a population and commit war and whatnot.
Right.
How much of that has changed since they got the Roswell crash? I think Roswell is a real incident. If they recovered technology from then, what are they using it for? Are they using it for that kind of a thing? Are they using it to scare away people? Or has it been that maybe the aliens came, there was some abduction, some things that are real, but now it's the military kind of doing it, and maybe 70 or 60% of that 70 is actually humans faking it for some other purpose?
Yeah.
Is it really real? I don't know. We'd have to go do some research and find that out, but I think the whole gray scenario has changed. Also interesting too is like there's a lot of reports where it's not just the grays involved. It's almost like they're the underlings for some other species. Sometimes you get reports of abductions where, I know it's off topic for this, but like mantis aliens that have the big operations going on, and then they send in a couple of grays, or all of a sudden someone who sees the grays and the grays like flash and transform into humans or something.
So they're like the minions for all the other races.
Yeah, they're the minions for the Grues of the universe.
Yeah, for the Grues. That kind of leads me into the next point I was going to kind of talk about. Now, I read something in regards to that they're like biological robots. And this is, again, none of this is concrete evidence by any means. These are all just speculation. And biological robots, I think, is a very interesting concept because it goes hand in hand with what you're saying. You have different races of aliens that are using them as minions. And yeah, they're operating their advanced technology. They're here for whatever reason. But the fact remains that who are they really serving? Like, are they serving themselves? There's a few interesting notes around that, which I'm going to get to right after this next ad break. And we're back. So I find this to be kind of intriguing. I'm going to throw you these questions here. So why would the Greys be here?
Ooh, they're definitely going into Cheyenne Mountain to help the Stargate team out. And they want to protect their home planet from the replicators.
Yes. Oh, I need to do a rewatch.
Why are the Greys here, though? I mean, there's so many theories. If you believe in aliens or not, there's so many theories. And for the Greys, I mean, you've got all this different stuff from World War II where apparently they got involved and they tried to help out the Nazis and just crazy topics. Ancient aliens tier, right? Where they've come down and given people knowledge, or they're abducting people and performing tests, or they're minions for other races, or there's military scare tactics with these ones now. Like, who knows? Why are they here? I don't think there's an answer to that.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned doing testing. Now, it's interesting because there are... I'll just use the word theories. There are theories, again. Now, they're trying to ensure their species survivability. And testing and such can mean, like, reproductive-wise and mingling with us and such like that. Now, what do you think about that?
Ooh, maybe the drip feed is coming from Stargate.
Yeah.
Because in there, the
Asgardians.
The Asgardians are a dying race. They're constantly cloning themselves. They can no longer breed. They can't make themselves anymore except through cloning, which is degrading their DNA. And they want to study humans to figure that out. You have the bad Asgard, Loki, who is doing the alien abductions and was responsible for a lot of those scare things on Earth. And then, of course, the Stargate team deals with that. And it's a nice, wonderful episode. But something like that could be possible too. Of course, there's I had a thought, but it's gone. I think it's just the one thought. We'll stick with that.
Okay. So what about the idea that, again, touching back upon the point that I made about them being biological robots, soulless, what do you think of them being here trying to obtain souls? And I know that kind of crosses and dips its toes into a demonic sort of realm.
Soul harvesting almost. Yeah. Well, for one thing, like if you look at medieval paintings and stuff depict UFOs. If you didn't know, there's so much stuff you can trace back to where you've got the carvings on the wall, you've got paintings, you've got depictions of even Jesus on the cross, and you've got little meteor looking spaceship things with people in them. And you look at that now and you go, what was that doing there? You look at it 20 years ago and you think, oh, it's an artistic shape in the corner of the tapestry with a person kneeling down in it. But then now you look at it with technology and you go, well, that kind of looks like a handle or a flight board or something strange. What's going on here? You look at like one of like a saint or whatever, and you see like a silver disc in the sky specifically beaming down a light. And there's a dude looking up at it in the corner of the painting. What's that doing there? Why was that present? This seems like something that comes out of a movie. Like, why is this plot line coming up on our planet?
Yeah.
How far back does this go? But I think I got off topic there. What was the question again?
Soul harvesting.
So that's where I was going into with this. So moving from Christianity, for instance, you've got angels that come down and breed with humans and make some Nephilim or whatever. And then you've got the demons that fell down to earth, which did that. And now you go, well, okay, so if demons exist, demons are angels. In a sense, they're the same species. You've got the good ones and you've got the bad ones. We call them angels and demons. So what are aliens? Could they also just be angels and demons? What do they want? What are they trying to do? And they could be anything. So if you're looking at that as a demonic kind of an entity, it's very possible that Greys and all that kind of stuff could be a demonic presence, or even angels in a sense that are just out there doing their own thing, or maybe they have some other purpose that aren't necessarily evil, but they're doing something separate from our knowledge.
Absolutely. The second kind of part of that theory that goes with the obtaining of the souls is there are people that believe in the fact that these biological robots, the Greys, were created by another alien civilization that has since died out, and the Greys are using that technology and just trying to find a way again to get souls and just to kind of, I don't want to say give themselves like a purpose, but
they're trying to regain their humanity so they can do a second run through of Dark Souls.
Oh God. What do I got here? Here's one. This is like I don't want to say the cliche, but kind of the go-to standard: trading advanced technology to have free access to abductions. And this is something I've seen pop up so many times. Now, what do you think of that?
That's a possibility. I mean, if you believe our governments are all corrupt, that's definitely a possibility. If you go back to World War II and things were going down the pooper, like, what kind of deals are made back then? Maybe some kind of weird contract is still in effect, or who knows what's going on. You've got leaked emails from government offices that seem to imply demon worship and stuff like that. Would that link into them being demons? Is there some kind of thing going on there?
I mean, I wouldn't be far out because, again, I'm not saying everyone in politics and government and everything like that is corrupt. There are good people trying to do good things, but there are certain people, I think, that have been caught doing very bad things, even equivalent of demonic. And I mean, they've been caught doing these things.
There's like a lot of satanic imagery in a very realistic sense in a lot of those like celebrity leaks and stuff like that. That makes you question, like, why? Are they just putting it up in their houses to be contrary? To be like, oh, I don't believe in anything, but how funny, I can do this. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. Or are they maybe secretly serving some other kind of nefarious purpose? Who knows? And then, of course, in our topic is, how does that relate to aliens?
Yeah. Well, it's eerie because, again, if the aliens are indeed looking at souls and such like that, and like dissecting humans, that research and everything, it's scary because...
I'm glad you have the notes to stay on topic.
Oh, God. Yeah,
I'm just speaking and I'm just going off on whatever you tell me. And
but you're making good case points with my notes here.
Your conversation's a straight line, and I am bouncing up and down and all over the place. And you're the only one bringing me back to that line. It's great.
So where was I going? All right. So I think it's eerie how something is kind of connecting these in one point. Now you have paranormal, UFO, and even our present time, like government, like cults, stuff like that, all kind of forming a triangle through, it always seems to be related. Again, shape or form. I'm not saying this is for sure, but it always seems to come to like a soul. Now, take that with a grain of salt, but that's how I feel to a specific degree, and that's just my opinion. I don't expect everyone to believe in souls or whatnot, but I just think it's interesting how, and maybe that's the theory that I kind of lean towards the most, is the Greys are here to try and find out more information about us to kind of carry their own species ahead. And I think a soul is very important to that. I think a lot of people believe in souls, but souls are also very important when you're dealing with demons. Incredibly important. And then souls are probably very important to cults as well. I mean, sacrificing and everything along those lines, it's terrifying stuff. So I feel like it's all very much a connection. And again, when it comes to the governments, even turning a blind eye to get you abducted and they get advanced technology. Look at our history. Look at how technology is accelerated.
And it's a reason not to explore the topic too, which could be why they're so secretive about aliens.
Yeah.
Like, well, although now that's starting to change with the Pentagon coming out and saying, oh, here's some UFO phenomena recordings.
But no one believes it. I look online and people just laugh about it.
Thing. Like, even on Fox News, they just drop it and go, wow, Pentagon, UFOs. This is confirmed. No one's talking about it.
No one is talking about it. And I just don't get why.
It's like it's mentioned in passing and no one cares. Like, we're all conditioned to it. Ooh, we've all been flashed by the aliens to, not really focus on it, you know?
Yeah. Well, you look at when they reveal these things, there's always bigger, more pressing things happening in our society. So people will be like, oh, there's a video of, thermal imagery that a fighter jet took overseas of a saucer flying. Pentagon confirms it was an unknown aerial aircraft.
And it's moving at insane speeds, doing crazy maneuvers.
No one's going to care
around.
because, I mean, again, we're in the middle of a pandemic. If there's ever a good time to release information and footage of stuff that is extremely questionable, now would be the time, because people are worried. We're stressed out.
Then my question is, why release it now? Why release it at all? What's the point? What point are they trying to make doing that?
Maybe there is some figurative gun to their head, like a time clock or something that's maybe pushing them.
It has to be revealed or something like that. That would be the demonic presence too. Like it seems to be that there's some tie biblically that demons have to leave some kind of trace behind or reveal themselves in some way, even if it's jokingly or whatever.
Yeah.
To let us know that this is happening. And then we have a way to fight back against it, because that's just how they're coded.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something that we were talking offcast. You were mentioning about how, there are prophets and there are idols, and it's important to question and inquire and put them to the test. So that goes hand in hand with what you're saying. Like these scenarios that come and unfold, like people do, they turn a blind eye to this footage, but they should push and they should question its claims and then inquire. Mm-hmm. And it goes hand in hand with what you were saying.
The truth is out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is another theory: stopping climate change. Now, I'm sure aliens, for the most part, can be pretty friendly, but I don't know if they really want to help climate change for our benefit.
There's footage of, or not footage really, but reports of UFOs just stopping a nuke from launching, missile launching. They just come and just shut it down. Mm-hmm. Certain scenarios that have happened in the military where they go, yeah, we tried launching a missile and then this happened. Mm-hmm. And some UFO comes down and goes zap, zap, and then nothing happens. And they're all freaking out like, what was that? And who knows how true any of those stories are.
Yeah.
A lot of those reports are from people that say, yeah, I'm from the military. This is what happened. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get like a little faint screenshot of a document or something. But maybe there are aliens trying to help or do some good in some ways. And then if that's the case, again, going back to the angel demon topic, which is one of the more out there causes or explanations for aliens, but then you'd have some good ones and you'd have some bad ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say these gray aliens indeed are trying to stop climate change, and a country launches a missile, a nuke. They come in, they stop it. Now, are they doing this to help us, hinder us? Are they doing it to protect? Because I truly believe the Earth is one of those unique gems in the universe. I know there's an endless amount of supply of planets, probably many that are very much like Earth, but I feel like Earth is that one in like a trillion that is so unique, in the habitats and the environment that it can support and its ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So do they just not want this celestial gem to be destroyed?
Well, that's definitely a scenario, and I'm going to keep going back to it, as annoying as it is.
Do it.
Angel demon scenario. Well, then it's just Earth if we're going biblically here.
Yeah. Then
there aren't really other crazy planets out there. That could be their solar systems with other planets. Maybe there is life somewhere else, but this is the focus.
Yeah.
At least for Christianity, for angels, for demons. They have a purpose to come down and be like, oh, so if that nuke launches, the world ends before it's supposed to. Let's go stop that. And then the bad ones come along and keep abducting. And it's like, well, we have to let some of these things happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's one theory. Mm-hmm. The other theory would be yours, or some unique gem of a planet, or there's some other purpose going on, or the whole thing's a hoax.
A very elaborate hoax, as is the case with like any cryptid at this point. My gosh. What do we got? I have one more point. I'm just going to jump one last time to our last ad break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Whoa, we're back.
We're back. That was super quick. I hope it was a good ad.
That was a delicious ad.
Delicious.
I hope it wasn't something weird now. Now that we've said that, we don't know what the ad's going to be.
It could be a political ad. It could be hopefully nothing weird. We don't know what ads
Wear
play.
men's new banana hammock underwear.
My last point that I will pitch to you as to why the Greys would be here, and this is very much a cliche, to take over the Earth.
Then they would have done it already.
Now, okay, let me add a spin to this. through reproductive ways of creating a next generation of humans that are very much like human and gray, but you wouldn't be able to really defer them from regular humans. Like maybe these ones don't even know that they are related to grays and they're the ones being abducted and being implanted with things.
Well, that could be a possibility too, as well as that science is discovering now that humans are essentially evolving and developing more blood vessels and stuff, like in the wrist areas. They've noticed that you have 2 arteries is what you have in your hands. Well, actually, it's slowly turning into that the majority of humans right now have 3 arteries in their hand. We've developed an extra artery in the last 100 years. Now, of course, my thinking is technology, using your wrists a lot, that kind of a thing, maybe just naturally something has to develop to add more blood flow there. But if there's been outside intervention of some sorts, maybe there are other slow changes happening. Why not faster? Do they not have this crazy technology to spin through spacecrafts and zip along however they want? You'd think there'd be something else.
So you think that there's a chance that they could be manipulating our genetic evolution as we go along? And for an example, I mean, the next generation of people born without wisdom teeth, is that evolution or is that them being nitpicky?
Is that some kind of intervention, evolution, a natural course of history? I don't know. Like it could be anything.
Do you feel like that would be an appropriate way to take over the earth without causing panic? Because you wouldn't want to, if you were to take over the earth, the main thing is you don't want to destroy the ecosystem, right? You want the resource to be intact.
We're doing a pretty good job of destroying the ecosystem then.
Well, I mean, that's very true. But if you don't cause a mass worldwide panic for over 7 billion people, and you have people that can assimilate in there into the heads of state, heads of government, power, then you can kind of make that smooth transition. I mean, eventually, it's kind of like we've seen many different shows and films of some entities assimilating in, and basically the last humans are kind of like expunged out, and it's just like they're humans, but they're not humans that are taking over the planet. Again, that's a stretch, I know.
Well, and then supposedly, if you look at things like the reptilian topic, it's supposed to be that there's tons of them already here, out in the street, disguised just as any old plain person.
Yeah.
So why not just take over the planet then and take it over by force? If there's other alien races involved, why do the Greys get to do it so slowly? Isn't there some other influence going on with the other races then that's leading up to this?
Yeah, that's true.
I think that makes the whole topic very murky.
Oh God, I mean, so much here at Cryptid Clues is so murky. It's so hard to kind of
and so crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we're refraining from going too far off the gray topic and the other aliens, but I'm curious just to segue into like down the road future episodes when we get to it. What do you think between reptilians and grays is that kind of correlation or connection?
I don't know. I mean, I read a lot of things about reptilians on their own. It's usually grays and other races, or reptilians and other races. Not tons and tons where it's grays and reptilians working together.
Yeah.
And for the ones that are, I'm curious to see if there's a distinction between like the robotic kind of grays or the natural, like maybe these are real alien grays, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't sound very hopeful. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it sounds, I don't want to say we're shit out of luck, but it just doesn't sound very hopeful, because if reptilians are the real deal, then we're being taken out from down below up. And if the grays are the real deal, we're being taken down a little bit from above downwards. Like, it's stressful.
That's why I'm named Reuben, because I'm a sandwich from up and down.
Oh, yeah, the idea behind the abductions, the idea behind these small alien-like figurines making up for 70% of sightings, being here for hundreds of years on the planet Earth, and them using owls as a way to coax and keep you calm. I said I wasn't going to reference it at all, but I'm just going to note, like, I enjoy that movie, The Fourth Kind, and I do like how they do have spliced footage in there of some of the events. And owls play a part in that story. And that's one of the things that really made me want to look into it.
And ancient languages, too.
Exactly.
From the tape recordings where, No, if for any viewers who haven't seen it, look up the Encounters of the Fourth Kind. It's an alien documentary about abduction scenarios as compiled by a psychiatrist who basically went and did psychiatry work for tons of people in a town, and everyone was having abduction experiences. Probably one of the most condensed compilation of abduction experiences ever.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone had the same scenarios. Everyone was seeing owls. And then eventually she was getting involved with it too. And it just got crazy.
Yeah. Well, I know I mentioned it earlier, but the hypnosis thing, that's the scary thing for missing time when you revisit these scenarios. And at the end of the day, and this is probably going to be like my kind of closing point here, when you are experiencing just regular day-to-day life and you don't know that missing time hits because there's nothing you can do about it. You don't even know it hits until someone tells you. And I think that terrifies me because right now, we could be talking, and as soon as we finish the podcast and I say like my last line of this episode, like it could hit, and then we like snap out of it 3 hours later thinking we just finished the episode and continue on. Like,
or I wake up at home.
Me. Yeah, you wake up at home. Like, it's crazy.
We never release an episode and then we go, didn't we record a podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just a fake memory implant.
Well, again, deja vu is a whole other topic we'll get into, but I have deja vu so much, and I'm noticing it a lot more often.
It's funny you bring that up. Literally yesterday, I had a big deja vu moment at work too.
I'm curious. Detail it.
So I was talking to a customer. They were doing a thing. I was doing the thing to help them, and I made a specific hand motion while talking about a topic towards what I was selling. And the customer, their appearance, the way I moved my hand, the line that was coming out of my mouth, the spot I was standing in the store, I knew I had thought about that exact moment a long time ago, or at least I had lived it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It felt so incredibly real that I flubbed my sentence and I stopped, and then I just kept going naturally afterwards. But it took me a few seconds to recollect myself and go, wow, that was a really thick deja vu moment. And I've had a lot of those. I've had quite a few where it's like something happens and I go, oh, didn't that happen before? And I've heard deja vu explained away before as the synapses in your brain misfiring and sending something to, it's sending a short-term memory to your long-term right away. So instead of recording the memory in your brain, the recording is being sent to the part of your brain that is memory essentially. And now you're remembering the thing that you're viewing right now.
Right.
That sounds about right scientifically to explain away deja vu. But there's a lot of differences between certain kinds of deja vu too, where you get like a little bit, you're like, oh, that happened before. I don't think so. And then the ones that are like, this exact moment, I know I dreamt about this last week. Mm-hmm. I know, like maybe it was like a year ago even, I remember sitting on the couch, falling asleep, and I dreamt up a scenario, and now that scenario is happening to me, and it was just a short 5-second scenario. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm in New Game Plus. I already beat the game of life, and I get a second go at it, and I'm not supposed to remember it. But there's my hint.
Yeah, like reincarnation kind of go over borderlining that. I don't doubt that, again, it could be something along the line of screen memories like we mentioned earlier in this episode. It's crazy. Like your scenario you mentioned about the synapses, short to long-term memory, totally makes sense. Absolutely. But there are some that just don't make sense. And it feels like it was either supplanted in my mind or I genuinely lived this experience 2 years ago, or not 2 years ago, like at some point in my life that I can't remember or pinpoint.
We're getting into the real crazy topics now. Maybe we're all stuck in a time loop.
Well, I hope not.
Maybe Earth is actually hell and the aliens are just coming to correct certain things so people aren't figuring it out. Mm-hmm. And we're just here to suffer for a certain amount of time.
Oh, gosh. No thanks. I mean, we got video games. That's a plus. But I can only take so many Call of Duties.
Oh, finally it all ends and you go, wow, how many thousands of time loops was I playing Call of Duty for?
Eventually, it'll just start re-releasing the same Call of Duty again every year. And ladies and gentlemen, if you know me, I'm a glutton for punishment. I love Call of Duty every year, and it's
Laughing
the same
Grays.
game.
LaughingGrays.jpg.
Oh yeah, they're laughing because I'm giving them like $80 every year.
They want the money too.
They want yeah, exactly.
Foolish humans. You have fed our desires once again. Give me your rupees.
Oh, well, Reuben, do you have any closing notes, man, you want to highlight as we close this episode out?
No, not particularly. I think you led the charge very well today, Taylor.
Thank you
for that.
After the episode that you led the charge with last week, or last episode 8, you did a phenomenal job with that.
Oh yeah, I came into the last episode with all the notes, and then I came into this episode with 0 notes.
Well, I mean, that concept I actually enjoy it to a degree. Like, I love the episodes again where we both present our findings. I think that's really, really valuable and insightful for everyone that's listening too. But at the end of the day as well, I think it's a lot of fun for us when, you know, if you come to the table and you didn't do a full deep dive and I can present all these findings to you and
then I can react to them.
You get to react, get a general reaction. Yeah. Like the people listening, I hope it's like, I feel like it creates a little bit of a connection. Like last week's episode, like I was blown away by what you were showing me and telling me. And I like that I can share that with the people listening. So
I love that I came into it too last week where it was like, hey, did you research this part of the topic? Because that's what the episode's about. But you know, did you actually get to find anything? And he said, no, I couldn't find anything. And I thought, how did you not find anything?
I don't know. It was hard.
I guess it's because I stumbled on it at one point and I still had the history and the links in my computer and whatnot. But
yeah, well, that's good stuff.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Jinx, now you owe me a Coke. Except we didn't quite say the same thing. Darn.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for tuning into this episode of Cryptid Clues. I can't wait to see you guys, or have you guys join us next time. But be sure to check us out on our home base, CryptidClues.ca, CryptidClues@gmail.com. If you have any stories, encounters, you want to share with us, just even say hi, just let us know. We're ready to take a message and say hello. Social media channels, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Check us out. But yeah, until next time, I'm Taylor.
And I'm Reuben. Bye-bye.